Hello and welcome to episode 312 of the Hooniverse podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Glucker. Joining me is my man, Ron Baugh. How are you, sir?
I'm well, as usual. No complaints.
Do you have anything?
I do. You know this, man.
All right.
Got my winter warm-up juice here.
Cheers to that. I'm out of tequila, so I'm doing vodka and Fresca.
Okay. Still gotta find some Fresca, man. I haven't found it.
It's good. Yeah. I'm down with it. I am down with it for sure. Everything's good in your world?
Yeah, I just left my company holiday party, my second company holiday party of the week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a rather unproductive week.
You guys having a good year?
Yeah.
Two parties.
Well, you know, we with our partnership with our merger, we were graciously invited to their holiday party on Monday. That was it was a good time. A little bit of a debacle for some, but
sure.
It's grizzled veterans. It was just more of the same, I guess.
Sure, that makes sense. Nice. Well, let's roll on in. I remembered to kick things off with Bring a Trailer. I've got a bad one, I've got a good one, and then I've got 3 bonus good ones. And I feel like you're going to disagree with me on the first one, which is why I picked it. So we're starting with the bad.
I think you think I'm much more predictable than I am.
Well, we'll see. 2004 Ford Mustang Cobra Mistachrome.
Ugh.
Okay, maybe we're going to be on the same page then. $81,500.
Damn, what?
986 miles.
No miles, obviously.
Yeah.
That's outrageous, though, man. No,
Yeah.
See, like you just think anything Ford or Mustang, I'm going to be like, yeah, go.
I do.
And it's drive those prices up. It's outrageous, dude. Like, make your points.
Well, do you like Mistachrome?
Absolutely not.
Good. Okay. I hate Mistachrome. I never liked it. I thought it was cool for like a second, for like 1 second.
So there's a difference between Mystic and Mistachrome, and it's not a big difference, but Mystic was available on the 96 Cobras exclusively.
Okay.
And they brought back Mistachrome for the 0304 Terminator Cobras, right?
Okay.
It's a little more lively of a color. Being colorblind, it always fucked with me, so I never ever liked it. I'm just like, dude, this is like, you take a look at it, and it's like the front half of the car is one color, the rear quarter is a different color, the bottom half is a different color. It always fucked with me. I never ever really appreciated it, but I always just thought it was silly simply because you get a rock chip, like you get any sort of scratch, any imperfection in the paint, like you're not going to be able to match that. It's just like a one and done type deal. And like this is before there was paint protection film and ceramic coat or anything like that to really protect the paint. So yeah, I get somebody buying one and just, shelving it for whatever 20 something years or 18 years as it is.
I had to look.
I mean, that's an outrageous price.
I had to look it up because I was curious about Mystic, and I remember there being a difference now. And the Mystic one, the 96 Mustang, that was like more of dark. It was dark. Right. So it looked purple and black and green.
Right.
The Mistachrome, and I'm going to start putting pictures when I edit this for video, but for those of you who don't know, Mistachrome is way more purple and blue and teal in certain angles.
Yeah, it's got all sorts of highlights and lowlights. It's a wild thing. It's cool, in theory, but I never. I mean, it was applied well, but like you see aftermarket Mystic or Mistachrome paint jobs, and like they never really have consistency, and like it's just you can always tell like if panels were painted separately. So I never really got behind it, despite being colorblind like that. That was always. Something that just really never sat well with me. And I'll tell you the thing that I really dislike about those cars in particular was that the seats had Mistachrome inserts. I mean, I think all of them, but I don't know if you can look at that particular.
Oh yeah. This does. Yep.
Yeah. It's just like the corniest thing. It's like Nopi Nationals 1998 to have Mistachrome seats. Like, I don't know. It can't be leather. I don't know how they apply that effect to a fabric or vinyl or whatever, but it's just so cheesy to me.
So I will give credit to the car itself that it looks brand new. So I mean, and it is 986 miles, and it's fairly rare. you know, it's not the most rare, but it's pretty rare at the same time. But
I would guess there's like between 1,000 and 2,500 in that color.
this says it's 500. It's 529 of 1,010 Cobras equipped with that package for 2004.
Right.
And only 515 of which were coupes. So a convertible would be mega rare, but it says for that year. So I don't know if it was a 1 year only thing or what.
Right. I can't remember if they did it for 2 years or just one. But.
Right. So it's rare. It is rare, but still 81,000 for, nah, I'm good. 4.6 liter Mustang. Nah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it, man. Like, what are you going to do with that? Like, I don't know, man. It's not a Cobra R. It's not like a competition. Like,
right.
Like,
and if it had like 10,000 miles, you could drive it.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like now you're confined to just looking at this thing.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think it's that attractive.
Yeah. Right. That's the thing. Yeah. It's not like a Ferrari, like a vintage Ferrari or something. Right.
Right.
Okay. Now onto the good. And this is more Ford. 1963 Ford Galaxy 500 XL convertible. $22,239.
What motor?
390.
Yeah.
Four on the floor.
Color?
Red on red interior with a black top and dog dish wheels.
Yeah.
22 grand. Yeah. It's a sweet machine. I'm popping it up here in my window. Yeah. It's still got like the side trim. It's in good shape. It looks really nice and clean.
Totally stock, like.
Yeah, it looks stock. Yeah, steel wheels, white wall tires, all the stuff. The engine looks really nice and clean. It replaced just the basic stuff like starter motor. It says the Odo shows 31,000 miles, but it's said to have rolled over. But still, that's underside's clean. 22 grand for a gorgeous big Ford. I love it.
It sounds like a very fair price for somebody that can take that and go cruise it and have no worries in the world.
Right. Sounds like it's ready to go.
You're not mechanically inclined, but you've got just, a classic car mechanic like in your town. Like, you should be good. It's not too exotic. It's not too rare. Like
and if you do need to work on it, that's that engine, that gearbox, it's all cake. Easy shit. Now the bonus good. I didn't do any bonus bad, but the bonus good. An 02 Z28 Camaro with 15,000 miles for 17 grand.
02 was LS. Yeah.
So
17? How many miles?
15,000 miles.
That's a great deal.
Yeah.
Anthony paid 13 grand for his, and I know it's got like just around 100,000 miles. I mean, it's got a lot of like modifications, performance modifications, especially suspension stuff. Like it's done right, but for that many miles, I'd say that's a great deal because I wouldn't shy away from driving that thing either.
Right. And it looks clean and stock and in really good shape. Now, another one, this one surprised me. Even though the number's high, it surprised me for the vehicle. 1970 Superbird, 129 grand. That feels low for a Superbird, but it's an automatic, which I think works against it. But still, it's a fucking Superbird.
These things are so big and like unwieldy. Like I don't know. I don't think you lose a ton by having an automatic and something like that. Like they're torque monsters. Like
but I expect those cars to go for closer to 2.
Sure.
I mean, but maybe the person who buys the wing cars has all the ones that they wanted, and the age demographic is aging out. I don't know.
Yeah. I agree.
And then the final one is a 1968 Torino GT 4-speed for 30 grand.
No arrow nose or anything like that, right? It's just
no, just a really nice, clean Torino fastback.
I love that body style.
390 4-speed, power steering, front disc brakes. It's got the Magnum wheels, so it's red again. It looks fantastic. I think 30 grand's fine for that.
Yeah, man. Like Fords of that era were. I mean, I guess they still kind of are slept on. It's like you can't compare that to a 396 Chevelle of the era, price wise. Like that, I guess that would have been the equivalent. Like they would have been natural competitors. Like full frame, full size. I mean, I guess Chevelle was sort of mid size.
But you can't touch Impala. You can't touch Impala prices.
Right. Exactly. So. I mean, those Fords are attractive to me. I've always liked them, but I don't know if they just didn't sell in nearly the same numbers as the Chevys, but they're not considered rare. They're not considered as desirable. So I think they're great drivers that you just jump in, enjoy, and like if you want that muscle car experience, like there you go.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. Now, speaking of quite an experience, for those of you who are into motorsports, this weekend was quite an experience.
Um,
Ron, why don't you tell everybody what happened in the world of motorsports this weekend?
well, this was the final, I think, of 22 races in the F1 calendar, and the championship race came down to the very last race, the very last lap, as the two championship competitors, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, uh, came into the race tied. Verstappen got the pole, so he had an advantage because I think he had an advantage of wins over the course of the season also. So if they had somehow both wrecked out and not even scored a point, he would have been the champion. But I don't know, man. It was a tough pill to swallow for fans of Hamilton like myself because the race stewards made, and I mean they've been making wonky calls all season long, and you could argue that a lot of those calls benefited Verstappen, but that definitely happened with this race, and it kind of stung because it came down to the last lap, and basically the race steward Masi, he basically made a judgment call and kind of, I don't want to say he skirted the rules, but Mercedes definitely filed an appeal or contested the call on the last lap to allow some lap cars, but not all lap cars, to take their place to basically go around the leader, which is Hamilton. So that eliminated 5 cars between him and Verstappen, who was in second place, going to green on the last lap.
Right.
Verstappen had just gotten new tires, so he's like, Hamilton, I think, had like 40 plus laps on his tires. So again, he was at a disadvantage, and Max passed him easily. And, like, a win is a win. And if it was the other way around, like, I'd say, too bad, so sad. But, it is what it is. And I just think that, like I said, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow because it didn't come down to, mano y mano, just, racing with the best of what you've got for one lap.
Yeah.
There was definitely a built-in advantage for Max, and it is what it is.
Right.
They were both gentlemen after the race, and even in heartbreak and frustration, Hamilton and his dad were both gentlemen and went over to Max and his dad, congratulated them, and had nice words to say, and they hadn't spoken out, said anything negative or unsportsmanlike since, and I have a lot of respect for that. But it wasn't a race to the end,
Right.
In my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of F1 fans.
Yeah, and the crazy thing for F1 is, so I'm not a huge F1 fan. I can't. It's tough for me to get into it.
I get it. The races are boring. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
This season,
but this season
incredible.
it's drawn in a lot of fans. Coda, I heard, was packed with way more people than they thought would be there. There's the Netflix effect with Drive to Survive, which
100%.
some people are arguing played into Massey's decision making, which is bad, real bad.
Right.
The consistency with the FIA this year was, even if, as for someone who doesn't like F1, and I shouldn't say I don't like it, I just don't care for modern F1. I still pay attention to it. I know what's going on. So I was actually riding my mountain bike at like, I saw a thing popped up on my phone at like 6:45 or something like that, because I was riding early that day, and it said Verstappen wins. I was like, oh shit, I can't wait to see how that went down. And at that time, I had no idea of the drama. And then later on, get home, checking Twitter, and people are like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
And I think tonight was the FIA award ceremony, and Toto Wolff and Hamilton skipped it, which you're required to be there.
I mean, I get it. It's in protest, but also I don't necessarily agree with that. But Lewis just got knighted yesterday, so give the guy a break. Like, I don't know what who's behind that scheduling, but I'd say that's a much bigger deal than being present to take your second place trophy.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with it. I'll be honest. If I were in his position, I would have made every effort to be there, because it's a very pointed absence.
Yeah.
But just like I didn't approve of Max walking off the podium at was it Saudi Arabia?
I don't remember.
The second to last race, wherever it was.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I think so.
Max felt like the race
one of the murder countries.
So he walked off. Yeah, he said it, guys. He said it.
I'll say it again.
Jeff does not represent the opinions of both hosts. But no, he walked off the podium without celebrating, and I
Well, you
thought that
probably
was
sell a lot of
unsportsmanlike.
wheels over there, don't you?
I don't. We don't like. I never have that. Like the UAE is traditionally not, a bunch of countries that are wheels are popular. Like
Oh, okay.
for off road use, sure, but like the stuff that I do, like they really stick to OE specs. Like they really
That's
don't do
interesting.
wheels.
I
I don't
wouldn't
know.
have guessed
It's
that.
a weird. Yeah, they've tried to boost the aftermarket over there, but it's non-existent.
Hmm. I cut
I
you off
don't know.
about
Like
Max on the podium. Sorry.
yeah, he walked off, and I thought that was in poor taste and not very sportsmanlike. So I thought Lewis would do one better and show up and be
Right.
gracious. But whatever, man. I don't have nearly as much at stake as these guys. Their teams spend hundreds of millions of dollars
Right.
a year to compete, and I'm sure it's got to be crushing to have something taken away, or at least the opportunity to win it fair and square taken away from you. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't right. I'm not saying that Max couldn't have won that race,
Right. Of course.
but it did not look like if the FIA stewards like carried out the rules
Right.
as previously stated and enforced. It
Mhm.
didn't look like they would either go back to green or some of the lap cars, but not all of them, would have been allowed to take their position at the back of the field.
Yeah. And
That was really the deciding factor, is that like they let some but not all cars go in the interest of getting them back to green for the very last lap.
right.
So it was a rush decision that was kind of a compromise of the rules, and it's still up for debate. But Mercedes contested. FIA, basically said no. Like
Right.
they dismissed their contest, and Mercedes withdrew their appeal. They appealed, but then they withdrew. So
Right.
they're accepting it and moving on and focusing on 2022.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It is crazy. It's all the goodwill of the fans to just
It's wild. Like hopefully we'll get some behind the scenes. We'll
Of
see
course.
and Drive to Survive next year. And
Right.
I don't think it'll all make sense, but it'll be interesting to see how each team and the stewards defend their positions, and
Yeah.
really
It'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah,
It will be interesting for
inside
sure.
baseball.
Now, we've both been driving some stuff. You've been spending time with your work Jeep. How's that
Yeah,
going? What's that about?
I guess it's 2020. I'm not even sure what year it is, but it's got to be 2020 or 2021 Gladiator. It's got a ready lift suspension lift. It's I think like 4.5-inch lift. It's on 38s. It's got KMC bead locks, and it is way tough for the street. Like it looks like a bruiser.
Yeah.
But to be completely honest, like I've had it for like a week or so now. Like honestly, it's like not that difficult to commute in, to parallel park, to find parking spaces in. It's definitely not compact, but I mean that lift, those tires, you'd expect it to like be buckboard and just bouncing all over the place, and not be very comfortable to drive. But honestly, it's cushy, man. It's nice. It's comfortable. I've had a few friends that have driven stock Gladiators
Mhm.
and ridden with me in this thing, and or driven it, and they all say it's like the perfect solution. Like everything that was uncomfortable or impractical about a stock Gladiator with a soft top in particular.
Yeah.
This truck has a hard top. It's kind of cured with the lift and all that stuff. Like it's got great visibility. It's very stable on the road. Very little bump steer or other upsetting behavior. It's just great, man. But yeah, we went to Barstow and Johnson Valley yesterday to shoot our Bronco that we just put KMCs and Nittos on, and just getting car to car shots and some of the like washed out like trails from side by sides.
Yeah.
Usually like rip through.
Where'd you go? Did you go to the road off the
Stoddard Wells?
Okay.
We went up to the 15 to Stoddard Wells, and
Right.
then we came back around to Barstow.
But in Barstow, did you go to the there's that like the outlet exit road?
Yeah, exactly, right there.
Yeah.
Went to Del Taco
Okay.
for our victory lunch.
Nice.
But yeah, dude, that thing soaks up everything off road. Like we a couple of my coworkers, they have like one has what he calls the Anti-Raptor, which is a V8 F-150 that's basically got crazy suspension, aftermarket Raptor fenders and bedsides. And he's on 39s, and that thing just fucking rips.
That's
And
crazy.
another one, our buddy Taco Dust, he's got an actual Raptor with just crazy like bypass, like triple bypass
Oh,
king.
really?
Like
Damn.
that thing is insane. But they were just out ripping, having fun, and it was my first real experience off road. Like I'd been to King of the Hammers, but
Mhm.
just like kind of covering it and like
Right.
being like camera assist. But this was the first time I got out and like actually ripped around the desert and had fun and hit like the puddles since it had just rained a couple days before. Like we had a blast, man. Like I've never done that before, but I get it now.
Oh, yeah, it's
Like,
fun.
we got out there and the ride was so rough, and I'm just like this going down these rutted roads, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, you know, we're not going fast. This isn't fun. Like, there's
Right.
no whoops. Like, I don't know what you people do out here. Like, this sucks. And then we were like maybe 2 or 3 miles in. It was like, oh, well, we need to air down. So we aired down all the vehicles, and we hit it again. I was like, this is amazing. It's such a huge difference. I was
Yeah.
like, yes, dude. Why didn't we do this like the second we got off pavement?
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
fun. It was
That
fun.
is fun.
We should
That
have
is
some
fun.
good pics and video from it.
Sweet. Um, in a completely different type of vehicle, I just drove the Porsche Taycan GTS Sport Turismo. Um, it was like I think it was a 3-wave event, and I was in the middle wave. The day before, it was perfectly sunny. The day after, it was sunny. The day I drove,
Rain, right?
crazy rain.
Yeah.
We drove, the route was supposed to take us up Angeles Crest all the way out to Wrightwood, which for those of you who don't know, Angeles, well, you probably have heard of Angeles Crest, but if you take it all the way to Wrightwood, that is a really good drive. That's a long drive.
And high altitude. Like you're
Yeah.
up there. Right? Like
Yeah.
basically by Big Bear.
Yeah. We stopped at Newcomb's to kind of get the group together. Newcomb's Ranch, we stopped it there to get the group together because further up the road, there was rocks in the road. It was 39 degrees out. It was raining. And just getting that far onto Angeles, it's already 20 miles in. So at that point, we said, we'll just turn around, figure other stuff out. So it's another 20 miles back, plus, you know, the drive from the hotel, and we still have to go find places to shoot and all this other stuff. So we still got plenty of seat time. We just didn't get to go all the way, and then we didn't need to charge because we weren't driving it far enough. But I will say, the car is fucking excellent.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. They were all that red one with the black wheels. They were all the same spec. Some were Euro spec with the metal roof, which we can't get in the States. The other specs, the one I drove, had their new variable light control panoramic roof. Have you seen that?
Shit's so dope. I mean, I watched your review.
Okay.
Your video.
It's crazy. It's liquid crystal tech. You can open and close it instantly at the push of a button. You can open it part way, you can close it part way, and it happens in like real time.
Yeah.
You can swipe on the dash and play with it. Dude. And then the seats are excellent.
But let me ask you this: does it provide any shade, or is it just opacity? Like, you know, like is the sun still beaming down on you, or is it diffused?
No. It definitely cuts the sun when it's closed. It cuts
Right.
it. Yeah, for sure. And it also, there's a UV blocking quotient to it too, which is almost more important. So it does provide some shade and some UV protection and all that stuff, which is really good. But the funny thing about this is the suspension tuning is actually a bit tighter than on the Turbo S models, where those are like all about the power. And then, so they have to soften them up a little bit to like make them, I guess, more compliant and safe. And the GTS is, I always say the GTS is the best of both worlds in the Porsche, of any Porsche model. Right. My favorite is always going to be the GTS, and the Taycan is no different. And I was asking like what the smallest wheel I could get on there would be, because the stock wheel's a 20. All our test cars had the optional 21s.
Right.
And those are just huge wheels. So I would love to see, they said you could go to a 19. You could go to a 19, but then you're like right at the limit of the brakes, I guess. I'm like, well, what about if you did like, you know,
crashing or tramlining? Why
offsetting? And I just want a beefier, I would love the look of a chunkier sidewall tire in there, just more tire. But like steering was great. Power was great. It's just an awesome car. And the price difference over the 4S isn't that bad. I mean, it's still an expensive car. The base price is $133,000, but the jump to like turbo and turbo S's is huge.
Right.
So the price wise, it's closer to the 4S, and the difference over the 4S is really nice. So
I got a question for you
yeah,
because I haven't seen a Taycan GTS. Is there a Taycan
the sedan.
sedan or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call
they make a sedan
it?
too.
GTS. Okay.
So the sedans were there, but we didn't drive them because they were support vehicles. Because they did the global launch like a week prior, right around the LA Auto Show, where journalists drove wagons to Willow, and then I think they drove the sedans on the track, and then they drove the wagons home because the wagons were charging while they were at the track. But there is a Taycan GTS sedan too.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's the same. The 0 to 60 times are identical. It's the same, same packaging and all that shit. It's just literally, it's just a different body style, and it's $2,000 cheaper for the sedan. But dude, it comes standard with a sport chrono package. I'm thinking about like what colors you would get on it, because you don't even need options. The only options I would want are that awesome roof,
Right.
and then I would actually go expensive though, because I would do like a paint to sample and get some kind of special green, and then it change the interior to like a dark brown or something like that, and then dream car shit, like. Yeah. But it's a different planet, and I don't have that kind of dough, so whatever. I'm happy to report it drives as good as it looks, and it looks damn good.
Yeah, I was gonna say those things are super sexy, man. Like the one I saw at LA Auto Show, like we already talked about this, like that was like the show stealer for me. Like that was just like the coolest like production car.
Yeah. And that was basically the spec that all of us drove.
Right? Yeah.
Another cool thing was I got to sit and talk with Hurley Haywood and Patrick Long at lunch and dinner. And I don't really get starstruck. And I wasn't starstruck by Patrick Long, but he was really fun to talk to. But Hurley Haywood is amazing. What that guy's done in his career, just like he had the documentary come out recently about him. Dude is a hero, and he was a total pleasure to talk to. And Patrick was great to talk to too. They were both wonderful. And I really like picking the brains of race car drivers, because they're all they all have something similar mentally, but the way they approach it is usually different. And it's interesting to see the ones who are reserved, the ones who are talkative, the ones who are clearly like, very good at being like, hey, yeah, I race for this brand. Right. Tanner Faust is a good example of a very good race car driver for the company he drives for. Oh, the new Volkswagen Beetle is awesome. Like he's really good at if he switched to Subaru tomorrow, he'd be like, I love Subaru. Yeah. So it's just fun talking to these guys, and it's fun talking to them about race car stuff. It's, I think they like talking about some of that, sometimes as well. Like Patrick Long bought a ranch in northern Santa Barbara, and Hurley just bought a piece of property in Vermont. So we were talking about that sort of shit. And Patrick Long's brother is a pro skateboarder, and he has, longtime pro skateboarder. And he even had, I really like, lately I've been addicted to, the brand Ruka. They do a line called the ANP line. It's their artist network program where they let different artists design some of the clothes. And like, I get emails about that, and I just like scoop that shit up. His brother has a line on that section. So I was like, oh, I never put it together. What's that?
You know his brother's name?
Yeah, it's his name. His nickname is Spanky. So Spanky Long is so I just I grabbed his T-shirt the other day. I was like, oh, he's in the ANP program, and Patrick's like, yeah, that's my brother. But his brother's like creative director for Baker Skateboards or something like that. And I think he still has a pro model, but he's older now. It was cool to see, pick those guys' brains. But back to the car fucking whips. I've got some good shit I just lined up coming up. In tomorrow I get the CLS 450, which I don't really care about. I don't really know anything about. I haven't cared about the CLS since like it debuted.
I sat next to one in traffic today for like 45 minutes, and I was just like, kind of analyzing it. Like I kept thinking it was a CLA. Like every time it pulled up, it was that. Wait, what? It's like the exhaust like kind of hangs down kind of low, so it's like different than a CLA, but like it's basically the CLA is basically a miniature CLS. Like they're so similar. It's like hard to really differentiate at a glance. But
right. And when it first came out, it was kind of a groundbreaking car along with the Audi A7. But following that up, I get the EQS, which I'm very curious about. I don't think it's a very good looking car.
No.
but it's supposed to be inside. It's supposed to be
It's
perfect
like, right, like even somehow more luxurious than an S class. Like,
because it's quieter and all
right,
that extra shit.
right.
But then I follow that up with 3 Fords. I go Raptor,
Okay.
Mach E GT,
Yeah.
and then the Maverick. So
Nice.
yeah, it's a good little run of cars that I've lined up. But speaking of our own stuff, what's going on with your cars?
Well, let's get that Raptor together with some of my coworker and our brand cars. Let's do something fun with those.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that.
I don't know if we talked about this last time. I can't remember the last time I was even here, but my Audi got broken into.
Mm.
So some dickhead smashed the windshield in order to break in and steal a bunch of shit. So that's been at the body shop for 3-4 weeks now.
That reminds me, I gotta.
Wait, why don't you have a car in the garage?
We gotta hurry up. We gotta hurry up and.
Oh yeah, that would have been great to have had.
Yes, I have a whole. Let me show you how big the box is.
All right.
Full of dash cams.
Oh, let's go, dude. Let's meet up tomorrow.
Yeah, we should, because I need to get those to you so we can get them installed in our stuff and get going on those. But we'll talk about more of those in a minute.
I'm in a bit of a battle with the parking garage because they won't release the footage to me, even though Long Beach Police basically told me to get the footage and upload it to a link that they provided and let them know if I recognize the person that broke into my car. And I'm just like, seems like a lot, on me, but
right.
I also understand, the garage not wanting to release footage to me. Like, I get it both ways, but I'm like, guys, can we come together here? Can we figure this shit out? So,
can you have Anthony write a letter?
Well, here's the thing. One of my best friends works with the parking company.
Oh,
and I just I started getting static from the people at the actual garage. And I'm just like, all right, you're singing a different song than you did last week. You're defending yourself saying, oh, I didn't say that. Or I didn't tell you that. And I'm like, all right, have a good day. And I just went straight to my buddy. I'm like, hey man, can you call the regional manager? Let's start at the top and work our way down here. I want to make sure this video does not just disappear on us.
Right.
Because I don't know how long they have it on loop.
Sure.
Before it records over itself, or they just lose access to it. So I'm like, can you make sure the video is secure? And then I'll figure it out with the police department. And if they don't want to release it to me, that's fine. But I just want to make sure that the video does not disappear. Because if somebody can be held accountable for this, I want them to be.
Yeah.
It was weird. The cops showed up and were just like, so who'd you piss off? I'm like, they're like, so do you owe anybody money? And I'm like, dude, are we going to take a report here? What are we doing?
Right.
It's you're blaming me for my car getting broken into.
Right.
Victim blaming.
That's a pretty nice car for a guy like you.
Right. I show up with a Run the Jewels hoodie and hat backwards and flip flops and socks, and I'm just but I'm allowed to have a $45,000 car. It's a nice car.
I've seen this before, Johnson.
Right?
They broke into his house and hung up pictures of his family.
Sprinkle
some crack on him and get out of here. Open and shut case.
But it was just irritating. It was fine. Whatever. It took 20 minutes to fill out the report and be on my way. But now insurance is lagging. It's just nobody has any sense of urgency, and everybody's it's the holidays. We're busy. We're closed. That. So luckily I've been able to drive that Gladiator, and because my Tahoe is fine, except that it doesn't have a front sway bar and the brakes are still wax. So it's just it's not the safest thing to drive,
right.
Especially not in the rain. Supposedly it has anti-lock brakes. I don't know. I don't know how effective those are.
So where's the Audi?
Audi's been at the body shop since that day.
Okay.
That's been 3 or 4 weeks now. The adjuster finally came out 2 days ago or 3 days ago, but I still don't have a report. I have no idea what the assessment is. So it's super frustrating.
Is it just glass, or is there damage?
Oh, they stood on the hood in order to smash the windshield. So there's footprints and scratches all over the hood and the front bumper. The roof is dented, so it's going to require some body work, and it's
that's aggressive.
Dude, it's just how stupid. You just made life way harder for yourself. Just smash a side window and you're in. The opening in the windshield wasn't even big enough to crawl through or reach through and unlock. I still really don't even know how they got in, but they wiped out everything that was in the car. Like I had tools and car parts and all sorts of shit. The only thing they didn't steal was an Optima battery that I had in the back seat because that
Too
motherfucker
heavy.
was heavy. Yeah.
Too heavy. Yeah.
I went to go get it out of the body shop because I have to warranty it. Dude, it was
Yeah.
just like, oh my God. Like heaving that thing around. Yeah, I was like, yeah, you would leave that. They
Yep.
stole a blanket, dude. Like they stole like an Illis blanket that I was really fond of. It was just
Oh,
like,
that sucks.
I hope you're homeless and you really need it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All
They
right.
probably just threw everything in the blanket and hauled it off.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, on my front, the Jag is the oil level is showing low again. So I'm just going to check the oil and see if it needs to be filled up. But it doesn't like burn oil. It
And you don't
doesn't drip oil. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, that's weird. So I'm not
Is there a
stressing
light
on
that
it.
comes on, or are you just checking it often?
I've never checked. I never had to check it, so I'm going to check it, and I just haven't done it yet. Just because I was doing some other shit and didn't get to it. But I'm going to look at it. Probably I'll take a peek at it tomorrow. But I have that Benz coming tomorrow too, so I'll pull the Jag into the garage here and go from there. On the Montero front, though, there's tons of shit going on. So I went to fix the. I don't have it here with me. There's this
You
a
go
company.
and pop off.
Oh yeah, go for it. I'll do the same. The Montero has, it has the distributor obviously, but this great company called Adventure Driven Design, which makes tons of Montero parts and other things. They sent me, there's this little seal that you put at the bottom of your distributor to just stop water from getting in case you're off-roading, like really aggressively off-roading. And my truck, the Montero is down at the moment because the gauge cluster is out getting fixed. And I'll get to that in a minute. But while it was out, I'm like, oh, I've had this seal sitting here for like a year, sitting on my desk that they sent me. I'm like, I'll go put it in. The truck's not going anywhere. It takes 2 seconds. It's pop the wires off, 2 screws for the distributor cap, and it's on. Me being me, I take all that shit off and I immediately lose one of the bolts into the valley of the engine. And I can't get it. I cannot get to it. It's like, fuck.
You know where it is?
Well, I got it, but
Okay.
I can't reach it with picks and this and that. And then I used to have, but I don't know where my like magnetic fucking thing is. So I immediately go on Amazon and order a 4-pack, 4 different sizes of them. And
little LED on the end.
no lights, but I could see like the shining glint of the screw. So I could see where it was. And so I get them and none of the magnets are grabbing it. But when I ordered the magnets, I also ordered a pair of medical forceps. So after some shimmying, I get in there and I fucking got it with one of the curved forceps. And as it's in there, I can see that it's sitting in a little bit of oil. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is there oil right there? Like there's not oil on the other side. Like it's just, there's a little bit of oil there. It's like, so I don't know if it's a seal on top of the head or whatever it is. So I got to check that out. But I got the bolt and I put it all back together. And then when I first did it, I thought I remembered the order of the wires and I had 2 of them mixed. So it's like, I was like, oh, no. Like go back in there, actually look at diagrams, count, like look on the side of the engine, be like, all right, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Put that on, boom. I was like, oh, thank God. Right away. Started right up. I was like, all right. But the gauge cluster's out right now because I took the cluster off I wanted to take it and I wanted to update the lighting in it. I wanted to put brighter bulbs in.
Right.
So I took it off and I only had like 2 of the bulbs for the right size, but I was just trying to take it apart to see how easy it would be. And it's really easy to get that cluster
Are you planning to send this off or it was DIY?
No, this was me doing the bulbs myself.
Yeah.
Take the cluster out, flip it over, bulbs pop out. I got 2 of them in. And then as I was like fiddling with it, I broke a tab on the hazard switch. So, the hazard switch sits in there and there's 2 tabs on the side of the switch that if you popped those open, that gets you to the guts of the switch. One of those side tabs popped off. I was like, motherfucker. So I come to find out that Gen 1 Monteros are notorious for that switch being broken. Like everybody's like, wait, your hazard switch works? I was like, yeah. And if that doesn't work, then your blinkers don't work. So you have to like wire around. And so, and I won't drive without blinkers. Like I'll put a car down for the count for a bit until the blinkers are fixed. I need blinkers
Yeah.
because I hate when people don't use their blinkers, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I was like, fuck this. I'm rebuilding the switch because the cheapest one I found online was like $60 for a fucking hazard switch, and then it went up to like 200. So I go back into the car. I start to put the switch together, and inside the switch, there's these two copper plates that sit on springs, and the springs are just resting in a cup. One copper plate is in there. I have the other one, and I realize I don't know where the other spring is. And I look down, and it's right in the floor mat at my feet. I was like, that's fucking lucky. So I grab it, I put the switch together, I'm holding it in place so the other tab can't pop out. I tape it up, the back of it so you can't see the tape. I put all the shit back in, turn the car on, hit the hazard switch, and at first just one side's blinking, and then the other one catches up, and then they're both going. I was like, okay. And then I turned that off, but then I got and hazards. I was like, yes. So I rebuilt the switch. So then I was like, yeah, exactly. That's how it feels. So then I'm like, all right, well, I got that back in. Let's carefully take the cluster back out because I've always wanted to update the mileage to the correct number or close to it because the truck has over 300,000 miles. Sure. At one point, though, they swapped out the cluster, and the cluster now currently reads 191. So what I did...
How do you know even...
So the vehicle history report, and the prior owner told me at one point somebody like swapped the cluster, but the vehicle history report goes up to 276 and then it drops back down to like 176. So then I'm taking the 276 and then the difference of the 176 to the current mileage, I'm adding that difference to the last big number to arrive at 323, and I want to roll it up to that.
Yeah.
So I'm a psychopath who's rolling their odometer up, but the truck's earned it. So I feel like it's sure. More impressive than if it was like.
How do you physically wind up or down? Yeah,
I thought you could. Here's the thing, you can't. So I take it all apart. I have access to the shit right in front of me. It's sitting on my lap, and I start fiddling with the numbers, and like gears start moving. It's like, it's not as complicated as a watch, but there's like a whole lot more going on. Someone's like, no, you just take like a drill to the back of the speedo cable and just go zzz. So I'm like, well, that would have made sense. That would have been good. I still would have broken something if I did that. But so I at this point, it's a nightmare in my lap with this cluster. So I kind of push it all back together. I call my the shop where I send my cars when I'm at a loss, and where the Benz is. And I say, hey, do you have a gauge cluster guy? They're like, yeah. And I remember this gauge cluster work isn't that expensive. They're like, it takes them a week and it's $150. I'm like, deal. I'm bringing the cluster in tomorrow. They're like, all right. So I'm waiting. And I wrote down the number. I'm like, this is what I need the number set to. So we'll see I haven't heard anything about it. But when it comes back, it should show closer to true mileage. At least, in my head. And the truck earned those miles, so I'm going to fucking display those miles. I have a sticker on the outside of the truck that says 300,000 mile club. Nice. So, and then the other big news is I ordered a roof rack for it.
Oh, yeah?
I was never going to put a roof rack on it, and I've been itching the last little bit. I want an awning on my truck, and for that you need a roof rack, but I want it slim. And I was looking around at options. Front Runner had one, but it was a little expensive, but they're all going to be expensive. And then I heard of this company called Gamaviti, which makes custom to order racks. And remember that Land Cruiser at Radwood that we all loved? That
100% with the side rear window.
Yeah. Gamaviti makes the racks for Corsetti Cruisers, who builds those Land Cruisers. So they sent me an initial quote, and it was less than the ready to go one from Front Runner. So they're like, yeah, we'll add tabs for lights if you want. We'll do this. We'll build it slim. There'll be a front fairing on it. I was like, it's fucking awesome. They're like, we stock some like Chinese front light bars that we can include in the price. I'm like, well, how are they? He's like, honestly, they're fine for what you're going to do. I'm like, well, if it's already built into it, I'm like, might as well. I can always swap out down the road. Like, and it wasn't that expensive. Include it, all that shit. So the rack is being built now, and I'm super stoked on that.
Nice.
But when it's in, I don't think I'll be able to put the truck in the garage anymore. But that's a trade-off.
Yeah.
Inside cat becomes an outside cat.
Did you figure out where that oil came from?
No, I have not. I'm kind of scared about that one. I might take.
Are you certain it's oil, not power steering fluid? Or?
No, it's oil. It's oil. Yeah. but I'm not going to stress on it because the car's running fine otherwise. But it would explain, the occasional having to put oil back in if something's leaking, but nothing's dripping. So it means whatever's leaking is collecting over there. Maybe some burns off over time. I don't know, whatever. Now about our cars, we mentioned all our next base dash cams
Yes.
package sitting next to me. We're getting both lower end and top spec models so we can test the range. So everybody stay tuned for that. For the higher spec one, at least for me, I'm going to get it hard mounted in there into the Montero. And then for the lower spec one, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but that one's going to go in the Jag.
Do they plug into OBD2 or what?
I don't know. I don't know much about them. I haven't done my research yet, but we'll go on this journey together.
Before my my exploits on the way to Vegas for SEMA, that whole fiasco. Before that, I'd had a dash cam in my Tahoe, and I really, really appreciated it. But I used it more as like a security device.
Yeah.
So that if the truck got bumped or if glass got broken, it would notify you like through the app.
Right.
That's super valuable to me with an older car that's very easily broken into and stolen, like my Tahoe or my Mustang.
Right.
My Mustang, I don't keep a steering wheel in it. Like it's got a detachable steering wheel, so that's kind of a theft deterrent. And that and power steering, manual, like that car. Plus everything is like so individualized. Like it's like, what are you gonna do with this, right? But like if that shit shows up on Craigslist, like you're
yeah.
But with the Tahoe, like I love it as a security device, but also like I've really grown to see the value of having, a rolling documentary of like, just commuting.
Yeah.
Like I see so much shit now and like I'm just like, oh my God, this would have been so great to have on camera. Like even if it doesn't like directly impact me, like I've just seen some wild stuff in the last few weeks of commuting that I'm just like, oh man, like if that were me, like I would 100% want to have a dash cam because, there's so much stuff that's left to interpretation and he said, she said, and, I really want a dash cam to just keep me from having to make my case or make an argument for my innocence in case of an incident.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And the one thing I'm curious to test, which is part of the reason they reached out too, is their top spec one has image stabilization. So they said people have been using them for off-road captures of off-road driving. So we'll test that for sure on that one.
Let's go. Put it in the Raptor. I'll put it in the Gladiator.
That'd be perfect. Jumping over to Twitter because we don't have a lot of questions, but we have some questions from Bigly Unwitty at Hoonerific. So he wants to play 3 rounds of Fuck, Marry, Kill. And so the first one is Ford, GM, and the U.S. arm of Stellantis. I know my answer.
Yeah, mine is fuck Stellantis, marry Ford, kill GM.
Yep, same exact. Yeah, I want to have the fling with the Hellcat, but Ford will be the stable partner. And then who gives a shit about GM? The next one is BMW, Mercedes, and Genesis.
BMW, Mercedes. You go first this time.
I would marry Mercedes. I would fuck Genesis because right now they looking hot. And then I'd kill BMW. Bye.
Yep, same. 100% same.
And then the last one is Tesla, Lucid Air, and Rivian.
I would marry Rivian. I would fuck Tesla, and I would kill Lucid only because I haven't experienced it. And
sure.
Still on.
Yeah. I'd almost jokingly want to marry Tesla because they're worth $1 trillion, but I'm gonna kill Tesla just for the fun of it. I'm gonna marry Lucid because it's a sexy long range machine, and I'm gonna fuck Rivian. Did I say that? Yeah, said that right. What a weird way to describe cars. But that's what we're doing here.
I got up close and personal with the Rivian, what is it, R1T, the truck last week. We measured it for wheels and we got a quick blast around the block. Love it. Absolutely love it. Like, if I can't make an argument for anything else as a daily driver if you have access to a charging network and, you have a reasonable commute.
Yeah, I
absolutely love it.
I think I'm hoping to get my hands on one by February, so stay tuned for that. But
I might be able to help you with that, but the quality of materials, the fit and finish, the just the styling. Like it's not overly styled, but it's got subtle like
It
hints
stands out.
and yeah, and like sculpture to the body. Like
Mhm.
it's very much a three cube uh, design element, like at least the truck is, but it's got really unique like storage features and just convenience features. Like I
Yep.
don't like one of the cool things. It's this is not a big deal, but it's very thoughtful. Is that there's a speaker built into the center console, and it's a Bluetooth speaker that charges while it's in place in that center console, but you can remove it and have like this badass Bluetooth speaker for when you're out camping or tailgating or whatever it is. And it's just like little stuff like that, like the pass through compartment, whether if you don't have the kitchen or any of those built-in accessories, like it's a very convenient storage space. You have a lockable bed cover.
Yep.
So, it's basically a huge
Flashlight in the door.
yeah, dude, so much cool shit.
Yep. Tons of cool
And
shit.
I think it's sexy. Like one showed up when that one showed up last week at our office for us to measure. It emptied the studio. Like
Yeah, I bet.
our place is like all design development and our marketing team emptied the building. There's fucking 50 guys all pouring over this thing, poking and prodding and just like sniffing around. Like it's I don't know. It's an advancement in everyday transportation like I don't think we've seen since Tesla, since the Model S.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I can't wait to drive it and really spend time with it and put it through the paces. Ben at B Lucarelli asks, which French car would you buy immediately, assuming you had an unlimited budget?
You should go first, and I'll ponder this.
I rode on one today, which is an incredibly inexpensive car if we're just talking about new cars, because my French car knowledge is not good. My mind, the first thing you think of is Bugatti. But I wrote about there's this little
name. Well, actually, it's not even French in name. Bugatti family's Italian. They just settled in
yeah,
France.
but yeah, it's a French car though.
How?
It's a
French, came out of France,
made in Molsheim, France.
Are the new ones?
I think so. I think they're still made there.
They're German engineered. Now they're Croatian owned.
Yeah, that's true too. But there's this dumb little electric Citroen I saw today that I absolutely love. It's called the Citroen My Ami Buggy, and it's classified as a quadricycle, so it can only do 28 miles an hour. But they made an off-road version with a big light bar and mud terrain tires and no doors. And in France, you're allowed to legally drive these at the age of 14 if you get a license. And if you were born before 1988, you don't even need a license. You can just drive one, and they're like $6,800 or something like that. Well, the off-road version is a concept, but it's so ridiculous. I kind of loved it. So that's my answer off the top of my head, just because my French car knowledge isn't good.
Mine either. And I don't mean to totally make a mockery of this, but I would just buy a Le Car.
Nice.
Like I just remember seeing those like around when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
And they're really identifiable. And like as a 3, 4, 5-year-old, like you just shout out every logo, every brand you can read. And they just I remember they had Le Car, like almost like Porsche, like side stripes or like GT350 side stripes. And that was like the only recognizable French car of my youth.
Right. I would just like to apologize in advance to one of our listeners, Oliver Picard, who's probably just dying that we don't know any French cars. So
they don't have any market penetration here. Like,
right.
Name a French car that's on sale right now, other than Bugatti, which I wouldn't consider French.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there's some like crazy awesome Renaults that we could have thought of.
Sure.
Some Peugeots that we could have thought of, like a 205 GTI is a cool car,
Sure. I'll take your word for it. I have no idea what it looks like. Don't ask me to draw a picture.
There's some cool Citroens. I can't do a French accent. I'm not even going to try, actually. Bonjour. So we're going to go to the next question before we embarrass ourselves further. Team Radar Love at Midnight Drifto. If you had the opportunity to spectate one race at any point in history in person, which one would you watch? I saw this question beforehand, so I know my answer. So I'll go first, so you can think about it, unless you already know. I feel like you're going to pick like some cool ass NASCAR race.
I actually, now that you mention it, I would love to see Tim Richmond drive Riverside in like 1984, 85.
Mm.
Because like I became a NASCAR fan. You know, I was only 4, 5, 6 years old then, but I became a NASCAR fan when Dale Earnhardt came to prominence. But Tim Richmond was the fucking badass Playboy racer in the NASCAR circuit before, kind of concurrently with Dale Sr. But
Okay.
he was like the pretty boy. Like he was like the Playboy. Like he just had it going on, and like he ended up dying of AIDS, unfortunately. But like him at Riverside, a track that I never ever got to see in action, and like the like ultimate like Playboy driver in the NASCAR series. And it was like before I really was exposed to it like that. I think that's it. I was going to say like Le Mans 66, 67, something like that. Like the
Oh,
first
for the
year of the
Fords.
40 EPs. But
Yeah.
now that you reminded me, like that's somebody and a track that I never got to experience that I would have loved to.
It's a good answer. I picked, again, this is funny because I talked about how I don't really care for modern F1, 1984 Monaco Grand Prix, because that's the race where Prost was leading Senna at one point by like 35 seconds. He's leading the field by 35 seconds, and it was raining like crazy,
Right.
and Senna was closing the gap.
Yeah.
Like just by an insane amount, putting on an absolute spectacle in his Tolman and just driving the wheels off the goddamn car. And then interestingly, when I looked that up, I didn't realize also someone else who was driving the shit out of that race was Stefan Belloff, who died a year later. He's the dude who originally, he was also, I'm 90% sure he was the guy in that famous roof Yellowbird ring video from like 87. Shit. Yeah. And then he also had the Nürburgring record for the longest time and I want to say like a Porsche 962 or something. Belloff was this amazing talent who crashed and died. I don't remember where he died, but he crashed and died like, that was 80, right? 84 was it? I got to look this up.
Really? Well, no, then that couldn't have been him in the yellow.
Right, that's what I'm trying to think of. So Stefan Belloff died in 85. Who did he did drive Porsche 956 was the crazy Nürburgring record. Maybe that's what it was. But I want to look up then who drove the roof Nürburgring.
Fucking loafers.
Yeah, right. That was Roof CTR Yellowbird. Who drove the Roof CTR Yellowbird? Stefan Rozier, who drove the Roof Yellowbird. Okay. It was another Stefan, excuse me. Either way, Stefan Belloff was ridiculous in cars. He drove F1, he drove sports cars. He just absolutely fucking crushed it. He died, it sounds like it was at Spa. It was at Spa in a 962, which, I mean, so he was in that race and he was slowly catching Senna's times. So, and he in that race, he had the only non-turbo car. So he was down 250 horsepower or so. However, that actually worked to his advantage because
it was easier to modulate.
You could just yeah, exactly. The turbo cars, I think, were twitchier, and he could be like, oh, "Fuck you, idiots!" Woo!
That's a trip. I didn't realize that they had different power plants or variations on power plants.
Well, it was probably like he must have been in like a back marker between year car because it was literally, I guess, the only one without a turbo that year.
I always thought this is the formula.
No, yeah.
Gotta have a V8 of a certain displacement, right, rev range, or twin turbo V6.
I wonder if it started. I think it started to get stricter, not long after that. I don't know for sure. I don't follow F1.
I didn't fuck with F1 until Senna, really. So,
yeah.
But probably, honestly, when the Ayrton Senna Sega Genesis game was released, that was when I got into F1. So I think that was like 91, 92, something like that. So I guess I've been a fan for 30 years now, which is crazy to think. But
yeah, you're like, I've only been watching. Oh shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a question from Jonathan Klein at Jonathan_Klein. Hi, Jeff and Ron, longtime listener, first time call. What are your thoughts? So you can decline to answer if you want, but here's the question. What are your thoughts on the Hoonitron and its new age turbofans?
They're sick.
Okay.
It's, I have a little bit of inside baseball, but now that that gap has kind of been erased. Like I knew about the car just a few days ago,
Sure.
and I got a sneak peek at it. But now that it's been released, like I can speak freely. But I love the design.
Is it in Long Beach?
No, but I saw it.
Oh,
just
pictures.
like pictures and video. Like I saw that episode, the episode that was released, like announcing, like debuting the car I saw a few days ago. But anyhow, it's all Audi, which is cool. Meaning they designed it, they developed it, the livery, everything, the powertrain, everything is all Audi. The wheels I think are gorgeous for what they are. It's like they've definitely advanced the turbo fan aero disc concept, and it's kind of coincidental because we're working on something very similar for our EV brand Ohm. So it's cool to see that they're kind of concurrently doing some things that we're doing. So it's validating to an extent. But
so those wheels aren't yours though.
No, we had nothing to do with it. So it has nothing to do with Rotiform, nothing to do with Wheel Pros. It has nothing to do with Hoonigan. Like the design is entirely Audi.
Huh, that's
and
interesting.
I think they are on point with it. I think everything about it is fucking cool.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because I think this is the first time that one of Ken Block's Gymkhana vehicles, they're calling it Ecana, I think, that Hoonigan hasn't been directly involved in the livery design.
Yeah.
So, Audi is like, we're designing this like top to bottom, clean sheet.
I think it looks rad as fuck. The red trim,
right.
it matches the livery perfectly.
Yeah.
And I've barely had any. I've only had quick looks at pics. I haven't had a deep dive look at the car. I don't know stats. I don't know specs. I don't know shit.
Yeah, I don't think they've released any of that as far as power figures and like powertrain, like configuration, all that. But they did a pretty deep dive with the design team. And one thing that I thought was cool was that they basically, so you'll notice that neon red is in the lower like rockers and up to the wing that's like the S1, like that big wing that relates back to the S1. But that red, they said they chose that color because being an EV and the batteries being down low and all of the powertrain basically being below the bottom half of the wheel.
Yeah,
that's the heart of the vehicle, right? Like that's the powertrain is the heart of the vehicle, so they chose that neon red to kind of symbolize that. And they carried it through to their sort of Aerodisc wheel covers, and I think it's cool, and I think it's a great theme and a great livery, and I'm excited to see it do what it does.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is. I think it's very cool, and I mean, if Ken Block can help make EVs cool in the minds of young automotive enthusiasts, it's probably a good move for Audi on that front. So more power to them.
I don't think anybody has any choice in this. It's like the way manufacturers are announcing their electrification and their move away from internal combustion engines. Like, I don't think anybody has a choice in this. And it's cool to see Ken kind of out front with the enthusiast angle and like showing that you can still have fun and do all the, I hate to say reckless, but like, fun shit with EVs that you could with V8s, V6s.
I'm wondering if he's not allowed to drive the Hoonicorn on camera anymore. Like, how they're doing, how they're having Leah drive his daughter drive the versus the world, which is awesome. Like,
I can't confirm or deny, but yeah, you're.
I mean, it's actually more. I don't want to say it's more interesting with her driving it, but
you notice like the shift, like that car. They're not billing it as Ken's personal car anymore. It's it's a Hoonigan livery. It's a Hoonigan property now.
Yeah.
Like that's an outsider perspective. Like I wasn't involved in shooting at all. I wasn't involved in any of that. Like it was a surprise to me to see Leah behind the wheel. But looking back, it's like, oh, that all makes sense. It makes sense. It's like how is he going to drive a Ford product when he's basically an Audi sponsored athlete? Like, it's kind of the passing of the torch and. It's timely.
Yeah. She's not sponsored by Audi. She can drive anything she wants.
Bro, she fucking rips.
Yeah.
Like I love that series. I love to see that car in action, but I am so impressed by how fearless she is and like she gets after it.
And she's like stone faced as shit. She's a kid. She's still a child. Like I feel weird even talking about her.
I think she's 15 now. Yeah, exactly. But like, can you imagine just like showing up to school after filming this series? Like, I can't imagine my 14-year-old self like sitting in class next to her and just being like, "Hey, want to do homework together?
Can I get a sticker? Can I get a sticker? My dad watches your videos." Yeah, no, she absolutely rips, and that car is still one of the wildest cars ever. I even text Brian after one episode, like 2 episodes ago. I was like, dude, I know you can't tell me. I'm sure it's a trade secret, but what's the gearing in that car? Because I feel like that's like part of the secret to that car is the gearing.
Dude, that thing bangs through gear so fucking fast.
Well, he told me it's taller than when they used to shoot the videos with it because it would top out at like 130 or something, and now it can do like 180, 190. He's like, we've put taller gears. It has fucking taller gears, and it's so the power and it's a marvel of engineering, that car.
I mean, nobody's timed it through a quarter mile. Nobody's dyno tested it, but like, it's at worst like a low 8-second car. And
yeah, at worst.
That's proven. Like it beat a 4,000 horsepower pro mod car, like, and the 1,000 foot, and I think even they ran 1,500 feet. Like,
though I will say in the episode that came out, I watched today, obviously not related to the time.
I haven't watched it yet.
The side by side.
Spoiler alert! I haven't watched it yet.
All right, I'll just say, side by side is fucking impressive.
Yeah, there's nothing there. It's a turbocharged 2JZ.
Yeah, I don't remember if it's turbo. I'm sure it's turbocharged. I just remember 2JZ. By the way, it's raining here, which is always like Californian. It's raining outside.
Our holiday party was outside and it started to rain. That's when I was just like, I have a
podcast. I got a thing to do. You're like, hey, we are recording tonight. Yeah, I'll be there. I
totally did the Irish goodbye. I was just like,
that's totally fine at a Christmas party. I'm totally down with that. All right, so you need to come get your dash cams. We need to get our dash cams installed.
You haven't looked into it? You don't know if it requires professional installation? I've installed a couple. Like,
I don't think it does.
Unless it needs hardwiring.
The way they were telling me about it is, especially if you're not going to hardwire it, like if you can like hide it in your fucking headliner or whatever you want to do, like I don't think it does. So I don't know.
Plug in the OBD ports, then I'll come down there. We'll knock them out.
Yeah. Well, for the Montero, I was thinking about doing a professional install because I might have them do some audio upgrades at the same time. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I also have a friend on Instagram at I_play_with_cars.
Matthew?
Who works for Mazda, but before that he was like
oh, that's right.
He worked in the audio world. I forget who he worked for.
At Radwood,
yeah, Matt. So I might just have him be like, yo, this shit. Let's hang out. I'll buy the beers or whatever. Or I'll cook us lunch or something like that. I still have his pressure washer here, which I have to return to him anyway. So maybe we could line it up.
Pressure washer back?
Yeah. Yo, you want that back? Put my dash cams in. Now's the time with no gauge cluster in there. Not that that's in the way of the dash cam, but so that's what we got going on. Dash cams, cool cars. That's basically it. One thing I want to start doing for us, because I really enjoyed the Pennzoil episode, just maybe start thinking about some guests, because he's been Mr. Michael Thomas, who was amazing, was our only guest since we've rebooted this shit. And I think part of what made the old podcast special was some of the great guests we had on. I miss doing this stuff in person, but we've proven that we can do it over this format. So
I don't know if he was full of shit or if he was just saying this for the sake of, sounding like a nice guy, but Spike said he would be glad to come on this podcast.
I bet Spike would come on.
I bet he would too.
No, I think Spike would come on.
Schedule permitting. Like, I know he's a busier guy than most.
I could reach out. I mean, I was thinking like not that Spike's an automotive journalist. I was thinking non-automotive journalist personalities to start, but it's probably easier to start with like an Alana Scher, a Mike Musto, a Spike Ferriston, a Johan Lieberman.
That judgmental fuck.
I even think it'd be funny to get Anthony Day on, our friend Anthony, but I feel like he'd clam up once he was on the show. So I'm hesitant. Anthony's our mutual friend. We've talked about a few times.
I don't know.
Rad
I
cars.
think he wants to be our Zuckerman. He wants to be our Z.
And he also thinks he's got a little bit of Petros Papadakis in him, which I tell him no, because that guy, I don't like that guy.
I don't know. I mean, I don't dislike Petros, but I don't like his.
You're not allowed to because you're an SC alum. Yeah. Fuck that shit. All right, we're getting too much inside baseball. Thank you for listening to episode 312. We will see you again soon. We're going to record another one of these next week. We might even do. My wife and daughter are going out of town next or after Christmas.
Okay.
I got to get I have a calendar right in front of me. I could pull it up. But we can do that offline. But I was thinking one of those nights, maybe you cruise over, we do one of these in person.
Sure. 100%.
Okay.
You here or me there? I don't care either way.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. That's all I got. We'll see you all next time.
Bye-bye. Merry Christmas.